I never thought I'd find myself writing something like this, but here I am. My name's Mike, and I'm just trying to get this off my chest because I honestly don't know what to do anymore. It all started a few weeks ago, around the time of our engagement party. Julia and I had been together for over 3 years, and I thought everything was solid. We had our issues here and there, sure, but nothing we couldn't handle. She was a bit bitchy sometimes, always quick to throw a snide remark or dismiss my feelings, but I'd always chalked it up to her having a bad day or just her personality. The night of the party, though, something felt off from the start. Julia was acting strange, more irritable than usual, snapping at me out of nowhere, even during the toast. I caught her texting a lot, hiding her phone whenever I looked her way. It was subtle, but I knew her too well. The way she looked at her phone, the way she'd suddenly get defensive if I even mentioned her texts, it was suspicious. The party was in a fancy hotel downtown, and we'd rented a room for the night, planning to leave early the next morning. I didn't think much about it at first, but looking back, I should have paid more attention. As the night went on, Julia kept saying she was tired, that she wanted to go to bed early. I remember her slurring a little when she said goodnight like she'd had a few drinks, but she insisted she was fine. She kissed me, told me she loved me, and then went upstairs to the room we'd booked. I stayed downstairs talking to friends, thinking everything was normal, but I kept feeling that nagging in my gut that something wasn't right. Then, about an hour after she went upstairs, I got up to stretch my legs and grab some water. I decided to check her phone, just a quick look, maybe a text or two, to see if she was talking to anyone she shouldn't be. I wasn't planning to snoop, but I was just curious, and I figured she was probably asleep by then. I swear I never expected what I was about to find. Her phone was unlocked on her nightstand. I hesitated, but I grabbed it, thinking I'd just peek at her messages. What I saw made my stomach drop. There were texts from a number I didn't recognize, messages that were flirtatious, sexy, even a bit aggressive in how she was talking. She called him baby, and there were emojis that didn't belong in a conversation between a wife and her fiancé. My mind was racing, trying to figure out what I was reading. I saw that she had arranged to meet this guy, Aaron, at the hotel. The last message was a suggestive one saying she couldn't wait to see him. That's when everything hit me like a punch to the gut. Julia was cheating on me with someone I'd never even heard of before. My heart pounded, my hands trembled, and I felt this boiling mix of anger, betrayal, and heartbreak. I stared at the screen, just trying to process what I had uncovered. I didn't want to believe it at first, telling myself maybe it was a joke or a misunderstanding. But deep down, I knew the truth. I remember standing there in the dimly lit hallway, frozen, trying to hold back the tears and the rage. How could she do this? After everything we went through, after planning this future together, I was supposed to be getting married to her in just a few weeks. Instead, I was left with this devastating realization. I didn't want to confront her just yet. I needed to think. I needed to decide how I was going to handle this. But I knew one thing. My world had just turned upside down, and nothing would ever be the same again. I spent the rest of that night awake, staring at the ceiling and trying to make sense of what I'd discovered. My mind kept circling back to the texts, the fact that she'd lied about being tired or needing rest, when she was actually out sneaking around with Aaron. That level of betrayal cut deep, but what hurt worse was the way she lied so effortlessly, like it was nothing. She's always been good at lying, I'll give her that, bitchy and manipulative when she wants to be, and now I was seeing that side of her in a whole new light. At some point, I got up and started packing around the room. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might burst. I kept asking myself, how long has this been going on? Was it just last night? Or had they been sneaking around for weeks? I couldn't believe I missed all the signs. She'd been acting weird lately, more bitchy than usual, snapping at me over nothing, avoiding my eyes. I thought maybe she was stressed about the wedding or something, but now I realized she'd been hiding this for a while. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but I knew I had to confront her. I couldn't just ignore this, couldn't pretend I didn't see those messages. It was eating me up inside. When morning finally broke, I decided I'd confront her before she could come downstairs and spin some bullshit story. I needed to hear her lie to my face. Honestly, I was already sick of feeling like an idiot for trusting her. So I waited until she came down to the lobby, pretending everything was fine. She looked tired, but there was a certain bitchy attitude in her eyes that I'd never really noticed before. She was trying to act like everything was normal, like I was overthinking it. When she saw me, her face changed. She gave me that fake smile, the one she always used when she was about to lie her ass off. I looked her right in the eyes and told her I knew. I told her I saw the text, that I knew she'd been sneaking around with Aaron. That's when the game changed. She tried to deny it at first, said I was crazy, that I'd misunderstood, that I was accusing her for no reason. She said she was tired, that I was making a mountain out of a molehill, but I couldn't let her get away with it. I pushed harder, showing her the messages on my phone, and her face went pale. That's when her bitchy facade cracked. Her eyes flickered with anger and frustration. She started to lie harder, tossing out excuses about how she was stressed, how it didn't mean anything, that she was just talking to Aaron because he was a friend. I'm not naive. I knew she was lying. She always was good at spinning stories, making herself look the victim. But hearing her say those things, watching her try to minimize what she'd done, it was like a knife twisting in my chest. I felt numb, like I'd been punched in the gut. My world was collapsing around me, piece by piece. I wanted to believe her at first, to think maybe I was overreacting, but deep down, I knew this wasn't just about a fling or some stupid mistake. It was about her choosing another man over me, lying to my face to cover it up. That confrontation marked the beginning of the end for me. I didn't even yell at her. I was too stunned, too betrayed. I just told her to pack her stuff and leave, that I didn't want to see her face again until she was honest, and apologized. She screamed, called me crazy, said I was overreacting, that I was ruining everything because I was insecure. But I knew better. I knew she'd been lying all along, and I felt this intense mix of anger, sadness, and disgust. The emotional fallout hit me hard. I kept replaying everything in my head. The way she'd looked at me when she was lying, the way she always dismissed my feelings, how she'd cheated behind my back and then had the nerve to accuse me of being paranoid. That night was a blur of shock and heartbreak, and I couldn't sleep after she left. I was left sitting alone in this empty apartment, realizing that my life had just changed forever. I thought I knew her, thought she was the woman I was going to marry, but now I saw that she'd been hiding her true self all along. And honestly, I didn't even recognize her anymore. The days that followed were a whirlwind. I felt like I was in some kind of nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, her smug expression when she was lying. I kept wondering how I never saw it, how I could have missed all the signs. I had always believed in honesty, in transparency, and now I realized I'd been blind. Julia had always been good at hiding her true colors, sharp-tongued, manipulative, and completely self-centered. She knew exactly how to spin her lies, how to make me doubt myself. Initially, I thought about trying to save the relationship, about giving her a chance to explain, to confess everything and maybe, just maybe, redeem herself. But every time I thought about her sneaking off to meet Aaron, I felt this boiling rage build inside me. I knew I couldn't go back to that life, seeing her manipulate and lie like that. I started to wonder if I was just fooling myself into thinking I could fix this. She was a bitch through and through, and I was stupid for ever trusting her. The thing was, she kept calling me, texting, trying to pull some guilt trip, saying she was sorry, that she didn't mean for it to happen, that she was just stressed about the wedding and everything else. But I didn't buy it, not for a second. I knew she was lying again, just like she always did. She said she loved me, that she was just curious, that it was a mistake she'd never do again. Yeah, right, that's what she kept saying, but I knew better. She'd been unfaithful before with guys I didn't even know, and now she was trying to gaslight me into believing she was innocent. I felt like I was losing my mind. Every time I saw her name pop up on my phone, I shut down. It was too much. I thought about confronting her again, about telling her I knew everything, but honestly I didn't see the point anymore. She'd already lied to my face so many times I'd lost count. I wanted to believe I could forgive her, but I wasn't sure I even wanted to try. The betrayal was too fresh, too raw. One night, I decided I had to get away for a bit. I booked a last-minute trip out of town, just a few days to clear my head. I didn't tell her where I was going, not that she would care. I needed space, time to think without her lying or trying to manipulate me. The drive was long, and I remember feeling this strange mix of emptiness and relief. I was angry at her, yes, but I was also angry at myself for ever trusting her. How could I have been so blind? I kept asking myself that. While I was gone, I started reaching out to some friends, trying to get perspective. Everyone knew Julia wasn't exactly a saint, but nobody expected her to cheat like this. It was a slap in the face to everyone who thought she was a good girl, who thought she loved me. The truth was, she was manipulative and selfish, and she'd been screwing around behind my back for who knows how long. I kept feeling sick about it, but at the same time, there was a part of me that was finally waking up. I realized I deserved better than someone who would lie, cheat, and manipulate me like that. I kept replaying the scenes in my head, the way she looked when she was caught, the way she lied to my face, trying to convince me she was innocent. It all felt like a bad movie, but it was my life. The shock was starting to wear off, replaced by this numb, almost resigned feeling. I knew I had to make a choice, whether to fight for her, to try and fix this mess, or to walk away and start over. Right now, honestly, I was leaning toward the latter. I just didn't see any other way out of this mess that wouldn't leave me broken. I kept thinking how I had trusted her blindly, and now I was paying the price. When I got back from that trip, I knew I had to face the reality of what had happened. No more running away from it, no more pretending everything was okay. I was done pretending. Julia had been calling and texting nonstop, trying to guilt me into talking to her, into giving her another chance. But I wasn't interested in her apologies or her bullshit explanations. Every excuse she threw at me sounded hollow, like she was just trying to save her own skin, not really remorseful. The day I told her I was done was the day everything changed. I couldn't even look her in the eye anymore. I told her I knew about her affair, about Aaron, and that I didn't want to see her again. I told her I was done with the lies and manipulations, that I thought I deserved better than a woman who'd cheat on me during our engagement party, then lie and pretend it never happened. I was cold, detached, and that seemed to finally make her realize how serious I was. Her bitchy attitude disappeared for a moment, replaced by shock and anger. She told me I was overreacting, that I was crazy, that she loved me and never meant for any of this to happen. That's when the real anger kicked in. I snapped at her, telling her she was a damn liar, that her words meant nothing anymore. I told her she had no right to call herself my fiancée after what she did. I was so furious I felt like I might explode. I'd never felt betrayal this deep before. It was like my heart was being torn out of my chest. I asked her why she did it, why she slept with Aaron during our engagement party, like she was trying to hurt me or just prove she was better than me. She looked at me with that smirk of hers, that bitchy, condescending smile, and said she didn't owe me any explanations, that she was a free woman now. That night was the worst. I stayed up all night replaying everything. How she lied, how she tried to manipulate me into forgiving her. How she sat there, all bitchy and defiant, like she didn't care that she'd shattered everything we built. Every memory, every plan we made, just dissolved into this mess of heartbreak and rage. I kept thinking how I'd been so blind, how I'd trusted her, and how she'd just thrown it all away for a quick fling with Aaron. It felt like the ground had opened beneath my feet. In the days that followed, I felt pretty numb. I kept asking myself if I should try to salvage what was left, if there was any part of her that was still worth saving. But deep down, I knew I couldn't ignore what she did. How she lied, how she cheated, how she manipulated me into thinking she was this perfect, bitchy princess who's above reproach. She was selfish to the core, and I realized I'd been fooling myself thinking she cared about me. All she cared about was her own pleasure, her own lies, her own damn ego. I started making plans to move out, to get my own place. I couldn't stay in that apartment, not with her scent still lingering. Every time I looked at the place, I saw her lying, sneering, trying to gaslight me. I needed space, clarity. I wanted to get away from her toxicity. I even reached out to a couple of friends, guys I trusted, and asked if I should just cut my losses and walk away. They said I deserved better, that I shouldn't waste my time on a woman who would cheat during our engagement, who'd lie and manipulate like she did. That made me feel a little better, knowing I wasn't crazy for feeling like I'd been played. The thing is, I still can't believe she did this. I keep waking up feeling sick, remembering those texts, her bitchy attitude, her lies. It's like I'm trapped in this nightmare, but I know I have to wake up eventually. The trust I once had in her is gone completely, and honestly, I don't think I want it back. I don't want to be with a woman who treats me like I'm disposable, who spends the night sneaking around while I'm upstairs celebrating our future. I feel so angry, so betrayed. But now I'm starting to feel a strange sense of relief too, like maybe I finally see her for who she really is. The decision to finally move out was like lifting a huge weight off my shoulders, even though it hurt so damn much. I found a small apartment nearby, somewhere I could be alone and really start to process everything. Packing up my stuff was a nightmare. I kept finding little reminders of her everywhere. Her bitchy comments, her sneers, and all the lies she told me. It's crazy how someone can make you feel so loved one day and then smash everything to pieces the next. Honestly, I felt like I was losing my mind, questioning everything I ever believed about her and myself. Once I was out, I blocked her number. I didn't want to hear her excuses, her apologies, or her manipulative bullshit anymore. I needed space to breathe, to stop second-guessing myself. My friends kept telling me to forget her, to move on, but I honestly didn't know if I was ready yet. Part of me wanted to tear her apart with words, tell her exactly what I thought about her being a selfish, lying bitch. The other part just felt numb, like I'd been punched so many times I didn't know how to stand up anymore. I started seeing a therapist after a few days. Not because I wanted to fix the marriage, I knew that ship had sailed, but because I needed help dealing with all these feelings, the anger, the sadness, the rage. I kept replaying the betrayal over and over in my head. I wondered if I'd done something wrong, if I was just too insecure or needy. But the therapist kept telling me I was right to feel betrayed, that Julia's actions were selfish and manipulative. That helped a little. It made me realize I wasn't crazy for feeling hurt. The thing that's been hardest to deal with is the complete loss of trust. I used to believe in honesty, in loyalty. Now, I don't even know what that means anymore. I feel like I've been naive, like I was so stupid for trusting her. And the anger sometimes turns into this cold, numb feeling, like I don't care anymore. But then I remember the good times and it's like a punch all over again. How could she have been so bitchy, so manipulative, and then lie about her affair? I keep thinking about the nights she spent sneaking around, what she told Aaron, what she might have told herself to justify it. Right now, I don't know what the future holds. I'm trying to focus on myself, on healing, but it's not easy. Every time I see a woman who looks like her, I get this weird feeling, like I'm still waiting for her to come around the corner and tell me. It was all a joke, but I know it's not. She's the lying, cheating bitch and I need to get over her. Still, a part of me feels guilty for feeling so angry, like I should be forgiving, moving on, letting her go. But I can't, not yet. Not after the way she lied, manipulated, and betrayed me during what was supposed to be the happiest time of our lives. I keep reminding myself that I deserve better than a woman who'd cheat on me during my engagement party, who'd spend the night hidden in a hotel room with some guy while I was upstairs, celebrating what I thought was our future. That realization is the hardest part. I never thought I'd be the guy left broken and betrayed like this. But I am, and I guess I'm just trying to find a way to deal with it, to learn from it. And maybe someday, I'll look back at this and see it as the moment I finally woke up and stopped trusting the wrong person. Now, I spend a lot of time thinking about everything I've been through. It's a strange mix of anger, relief, and just plain sadness. I keep asking myself how I let it get this far, how I was so blind to her true nature, the bitchy, manipulative side she always tried to hide behind that fake smile. Looking back, I see all the red flags now, but at the time I thought she was just stressed or had a bad day. Turns out, she was hiding a whole different person beneath that veneer. Honestly, I feel like I've grown a lot from this experience. Sure, it's been brutal, and I still get angry sometimes when I think about her lying to my face, about the nights she spent with Aaron. But I also realize I was never really happy with her, not really. I just didn't want to admit it because I loved her, or at least I thought I did. Now I see clearly. She's the kind of woman who'd betray her own future just to get her rocks off with some guy she barely knows. And that says a lot about her, even if it's not pretty. I've started focusing on myself. I'm rebuilding my confidence, reconnecting with friends, and trying to get my life back on track. The pain is still there sometimes, but it's losing its grip. I know now that I deserve someone who's honest, loyal, and respectful, someone who won't cheat and then lie about it. I've learned to trust my instincts more, to listen when something feels off, and to stand up for myself. Looking back, I wish I could tell myself to see through her bullshit sooner, to not ignore the signs when she's being bitchy or dismissive, to realize that her lies were just her way of hiding what she really was, a selfish, manipulative woman who wanted her own fun at my expense. But I guess you only really learn these things the hard way. That's how life works sometimes. You get blindsided, you get hurt, and then you have no choice but to pick up the pieces and move on. So here I am, finally starting to heal. I don't know what the future holds, but I know I won't let her betrayal define me. I'm stronger than that. I will find someone worthy of my trust, someone who doesn't cheat, doesn't lie, and who treats me with respect. And I'll never let myself be that naive again. Trust is fragile, and now I know just how easy it is to lose it. But I also know that I can rebuild it with the right person someday. For now, I'll focus on being better, learning from this nightmare, and never letting someone like her hurt me that way again.